Hey everybody, welcome back to Inside the Force. Dave Cottingham here with Hannah Burr. Good evening,
Hello.
Hannah.
Good evening.
And for this episode, we had to bring in my co-host on the Mandalorian podcast, Cyber Wren. How are you, sir?
Hello. Hello from the frozen wastelands of Canada today.
It's actually pretty cold here. What do you guys got up there?
We got hit with an Arctic wave of air that came straight down into Canada, into our area of Canada. Tonight it is hitting minus 50. Minus 50.
Whoa.
Nope.
Celsius.
Nope.
Yeah. And
Wow.
I just checked just because I know you guys are in the States. That's minus 58 Fahrenheit.
Holy.
Isn't that insane?
That is. I mean, that's like, what is that, Hannah? That's like 80 degrees difference is what it is here. I mean, that is, wow.
It is insane. The schools were closed today because it was minus 42 during the day. So the schools closed, buses weren't running. A lot of people didn't make it to work. It's crazy. It's supposed to last for 3 days because it's just some freak of nature. Some Arctic ice wall basically blew in, and
it's
no thanks.
there is some crazy weather going on in the States right now, but a lot of rain, a lot of snow in parts, but that is not normal around here. That is crazy.
It's stories like this why a lot of you guys think that we live in igloos all the time. That's what happens.
Well, there you go. Yeah, and now I kind of believe it. So,
Although if our forecast is to be believed, we're supposed to hit negative degrees mid next week.
We are. Ooh. We actually are getting really cold next week. Yep. So.
Which is, I mean, that's unusual. Like Kentucky was never like that for a long time, right?
No, I mean you'd get occasionally you'd get maybe a week or two of real cold weather, but not. Yeah. No, it's not normal. I'm actually heading back to Florida and Disney World next week. So, but it's not even that warm down there.
Oh man,
now, it's like 60s, I think, at the high. So it's not.
You'll be lucky next week if you get into the 50s.
You're correct. Yeah, it's gonna be cold there too. So anyway,
right.
All right. So thanks for joining us, everybody. We had to get Martin on here because we do have some incredible news that just broke last few days.
Huge.
And not just the trades. I mean, this is official from Lucasfilm. So we'll go into all that. We do got a couple news stories to talk about too. But of course, thanks to everybody listening, watching, our patrons, everybody. Appreciate all of the support. Go check out patreon.com for all those tiers. It is a new year. We got some new stuff coming out this year. Of course, Hannah and I are going to, like you said last week, Hannah and I are going to start doing some commentaries on the films.
Yeah.
And right now, Hannah, we got a couple patrons that are saying that this thing has to be live. So
all right,
we might have to do this live, and probably just for Patreon. Maybe just for Patreon. So anyway, we'll keep everyone posted because we got to get a date together for that. But look for that here soon. End of the month. Each at the end of each month, we'll talk about doing that. Okay, so first up, I want to say this first up because I don't know if you guys have seen any of this. Two interesting pieces of news that are floating out there. Again, these aren't confirmed, so these are kind of one is confirmed and one is not. So y'all aware of the Young Jedi Adventures series that's on Disney Plus?
Yes.
Heard of it. Haven't seen it yet.
Yes. I haven't seen it either. It's really made for kids.
Yeah.
It's like the young, really young animation and young characters. But what's interesting, which kind of makes me want to go back and watch it, is they put a new trailer out so they've been releasing the episodes in chunks, like 6 episodes here, 6 episodes here. And the next batch is coming out starting February 14th, which will finish the first season, which will make it 25 episodes. And in this latest clip, apparently, and both of us, all of us have read it because we all have read Light of the Jedi, right?
Yes.
Which is the first book in the High Republic series.
Okay, yeah. I listened to the audiobook. Yeah.
By Charles. Well, yeah, me too.
Yeah.
By Charles Soule.
Yes.
And in that book, there is the dedication of Starlight.
Yes.
Right? Well, apparently there's a clip in this series of that dedication.
What?
Which is pretty crazy looking. Yeah. Wow. So, because this does take place during the High Republic, but I think it was kind of in question of at what point during the High Republic.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, clearly this is during that time. So I kind of want to watch it now.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, just to see what things look like. I mean, to give a visual, even though, like you said, it's a kid's show, it still gives you a visual.
That's right.
That'd be cool.
And Yoda's in it still, so I got to watch it anyway for that. But I did. I actually did start watching. I think the first episode for a little bit, but I didn't continue it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, apparently there's a shot. Like I'm looking at it right now. There's an image that has all the Jedi standing around with their lightsabers in the air, like they did in the dedication.
Holy
so
smart.
What's interesting is that some of the clips, some of the comments I've seen, people are saying, "Wow, this is cool. It's Starlight Beacon dedication." It's like, but hey, but are we just, because we all know what. I don't know if we all know what happens to Starlight Beacon. And
I was just about to say, are they going to show that in a kids show?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that because I'm assuming that's the end of the first season. So maybe they kind of skip time a little bit. I don't know because that's what people are like. Yeah, I don't know if you want to kind of insinuate that there's a bunch of kids on Starlight Beacon.
I'll play dumb here, and I honestly can't remember because I listened to that book when it first came out. So I'm a little shady on the details.
Well, it doesn't happen in that book.
Yeah,
it happens later.
Okay,
but spoiler, I'll just say it. Whatever. Starlight Beacon gets destroyed.
Yeah, right, right.
Yeah,
I think it's in Falling Star. I think it was at the book, right?
Okay,
yeah.
So yeah, so that's kind of the end. That was like the end of phase 1 was this destruction of Starlight Beacon. So it's shortly after. It's not like it's long after the dedication. It wasn't even around for that long. But anyway,
yeah.
I'm interested actually. I think the episodes are shorter, so you can kind of get through them a little quicker maybe. But I just really had no desire to watch it, but I kind of do now because, like you said, Martin, I think it does, right now we're only getting the books. The comics are really good too about getting visuals. Me and Hannah are going through the comics. Mm-hmm. But to get a visual of that time, that era, and some of these characters, I think it might actually be worth it. So.
Yeah.
If anything, it'll be a fun thing to do after work to kind of shut off the brain and just enjoy some Star Wars cartoons.
Well, and aren't they super short? They're like 12 or 15 minutes long each episode.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I think they're a lot shorter. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, and the animation is actually pretty neat. I think it's not bad.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So I am interested in seeing. I might maybe I'll watch them on the plane while I'm heading to Disney or something.
You could probably watch them all in the flight.
Well, that's true. Yeah, probably.
Just keep rubbing it in. How many times you can mention that in this show?
Should we have a little counter going ding, ding, ding?
Yeah, right. Okay, now this bit of news, which I didn't see. This actually apparently came out a couple of days ago, and I didn't see it. But this is interesting, which, again, I don't know if either of you have heard this yet. So apparently, the rumor is Tales of the Jedi. We all know what that is. And that we are getting a season 2 definitely this year. But apparently what's in the works are tales of spinoffs.
Oh, really?
Did you see this, Hannah?
I saw it, but I saw that it was a rumor. So I was like,
it is a rumor.
What is this?
But for example, and the two that they are, the two anthology additions to it is what's rumored is about the Sith and about bounty hunters.
Whoa.
So I think that's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool because there is like in the old Legend series that I have the Bounty Hunters
Tales of the Bounty Hunters. That's right.
Yeah, it's a thick book too. There's a lot in there.
Yes, there is.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I just wonder also too if this is a way to kind of tie up loose ends from the Clone Wars, because a lot of the Clone Wars episodes featured bounty hunters. So this would be a perfect way to kind of wrap up all those stories and still tell the stories that you never got to tell.
Yeah, that's true.
You're exactly right, Hannah. I think yeah, I've always felt that part of me feels that Filoni still hasn't completed his series yet, right?
Yeah.
I know he got season 7 and now he's got Bad Batch now, but there's so many stories from Clone Wars that did not get told. And, and like you said, like if you look back at some of the series, some of the episodes that did not get completed, a lot of it did have to do with bounty hunters, because Boba Fett had a lot of episodes still to go.
Yeah.
You had kind of a newly bounty hunter in Asajj Ventress. Mm-hmm. I know, Martin, we talked about that.
Yes.
But then you have stories there too, I think, that were not made that centered around also more clones. Like Rex had a whole series that didn't get done. You had a whole trip of clones that went back to Kashyyyk because you had Chewbacca that was supposed to be in it again. I mean, there could be another Tales of something else, like either Tales of the Republic or Tales of the Empire.
Tales of the Droids.
Tales of the Droids. I mean, I'm telling you that this is a way for Filoni to truly finish out all of those stories if he really wanted to. So,
I also wonder if they are going to do Tales of the Sith, if that's going to be tied into Acolyte at all.
Yeah,
because
great point.
The huge teaser of what Acolyte is, they could be kind of testing the waters to see, are people more interested in the dark side of the Force, in the Sith, and then you could start introducing stuff from the Old Republic. Heck, you could probably even, because I'm sure at the dawn of the Jedi was also the dawn of the Sith, so you could start diving into that as well. So that would be really, really cool if they just didn't focus on this time and they're able to really expand over all of the different, throughout the entire Star Wars timeline.
Mm-hmm. Totally. Well, and like you mentioned with Boba Fett in Clone Wars, I mean, we last saw him, he was still kind of just a teenager. Mm-hmm. So we're missing that time, the transition from teenager to full-blown Boba Fett. And getting his armor and becoming the bounty, like that would be a good story to see. Where's that transition? Because that's the time period we're missing.
Yes.
Yeah. The big series of episodes that we missed out of Clone Wars was his involvement with Cad Bane. Cad Bane,
right?
Would have shown how Cad Bane became his mentor and kind of trained him, and that's why he's as powerful as he is too, right?
That'd be so cool to see.
I have a feeling we're going to see it.
Because it would, what it would do? It would build up to the climax of the Book of Boba Fett when they face off against each other in the street. You were going to get that story, the prelude as to why that was such a big moment.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why that moment. And I pointed that out when we were doing kind of our favorites. That was one of my favorites because I knew that history.
Yes,
because I saw animatics of those episodes when I went to Celebration.
Right.
So it does weigh differently when you look at that, because and that's the kind of hard part about all this sometimes is you don't get that backstory till later sometimes. So it's not as impactful when you first watch it, but I hope they do it, because I think it's important to see those relationships if they canonize it. I mean, it's not canon until it's real yet. So,
right.
So cool. I agree with you. And I think that Sith stuff is, I just definitely have this sense that they're really going to be diving into that. side of storytelling here, with the Acolyte coming out, with what this could be right now. You already kind of see it a little bit in the publications a little bit. Shadow of the Sith was pretty incredible. You know, that was a big deep dive into that as well. So yeah, we definitely need more of that. And we've always yearned for going back in that history to like Bane, and even further back of Revan, wherever he's at in the timeline, you know? I mean, gosh. That was another deleted scene. It was on my feed a couple days ago. Was, you know, the Mortis arc in Clone Wars? There was a deleted scene apparently where the son talks to Darth Revan.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Whoa.
Revan was supposed to be canonized in the Clone Wars.
Man.
Hannah, I got to get that and send it to you because I know you're a big fan of Revan. But
Look at the look on her face, you think?
Oh, no, it's such brilliant storytelling. And the way you play the game and the twist, it's just, it's mind-blowing. So,
yeah.
and it's such a powerful story, such a cool story. Man, I really hope they do Revan justice. I really hope they do.
I do too. You know, and they're still saying this remake of Knights of the Old Republic is still coming, you know, with when Revan was featured as in the trailer, you know, for that. So we'll see. We'll see where that lands.
But I think, like you guys have been talking on your show, I think if they want to change directions and really start telling a lot of Sith stories, it's going to be that new content that you guys have been looking for, because we don't, unless you really dive in and look for this Revan and Plagueis and all these guys, most Star Wars fans have only barely heard of these names. They don't know anything about them.
Mm-hmm.
So for Star Wars to take a detour and start telling stories from the Sith side of things, because we only know the Jedi's perspective. Well, let's see the Sith's perspective. Maybe there's something that they're going to show us or tell us that's going to make them not look so bad or look so evil if we know the story from their side of things. Maybe there's reasons for the way they behave. There's reasons for the way they think the Dark Force is better. Who knows? It's going to be fascinating, whatever they do with it.
The perfect place to go for that is the Old Republic, because they had Sith academies all over the place. You know, there were bountiful number of Siths, and even in the game, you go to Korriban, and you go to the Sith Academy.
Yeah.
So, and obviously with you playing the game, you have a negative kind of point of view on the Sith. But I think if you wanted to give a more sympathetic view, that's your time period. That's the perfect time to do it. Show what they're learning at the Academy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree.
I can't see, like you're talking about the Sith Academy, I can't see that you've got a bunch of kids going to class to learn, and the teachers are like, yeah, you're gonna learn how to kill and maim and cut heads off and like. I just don't think that that's what the Sith is teaching. They're just teaching a different belief from a different angle and different perspective. So it'd be really interesting just to learn that.
Well, I hope they take more of the direction you're thinking, because in the game it is do whatever it takes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, one of the challenges you have to do is do whatever it takes to win this, and you end up fighting a lot of the other students.
Okay.
Well, yeah, and that's and that's the background of the Sith. The Sith is not only the enemy of the Jedi, but they're enemy of each other too.
Yeah,
you know, that's been the history. They're power hungry, so that's what destroyed them, and that's why Bane changed it to the rule of two, because he knew that the more Sith there were, the more problems they were fighting each other just as much as they were the Jedi. So.
Yeah.
So the academies that she's talking about, yeah, I mean but it is, you know, I mean, again, and I don't know if it's canon now, but you know, the way it started before was you had you had Jedi that fell out of the light side, left the council, left the Jedi Order, and went to Korriban, and basically forced that race of people there to become Sith. Mm-hmm. So it started with these dark Jedi. They went there and they started training them, and that's how the whole thing kind of just snowballed. But the power of the dark side kind of hated everybody, and they always wanted to fight each other, and then eventually it led to the big Sith Jedi War, where they just got wiped out until Darth Bane was the only one left.
Well, didn't Darth Bane, if that book is still considered canon, didn't he essentially destroy? Like, it was his fault, wasn't it? He caused the Sith to die. I feel like.
Yeah, something like that. There was a thought. I think it was a thought bomb, right? Wasn't there a thought bomb that really destroyed it all? Yeah.
He was able to convince all the Sith to go to one location to face this army of Jedi, and he figured, hey, I'll kill two birds with one stone, and kaboom.
Boom. Yep.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
Well,
but that's after centuries and centuries of wars.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because like in Knights of the Old Republic, and then I think Knights of the Old Republic 2, you know, I mean, there was a time when the Sith they came in and invaded Coruscant and took over, and they were ruling the galaxy. And that's why when Palpatine in episode 3, when he says the Sith will rule again, like it happened already.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, again, that power just kind of ate at him and destroyed him. And then the Jedi were able to come back and take over and you know, and all that stuff. So anyway, it's a crazy history. And I hope one day we start really getting that history, because we're talking thousands and thousands of years ago. So it's very interesting. And maybe this is what that is. Maybe this does go back, because right now, if you stay within just the last 1,000 years, you're only talking about 2 Sith at a time. So if you really want to get into the Sith.
Yeah, unless you go into Dark Jedi and Inquisitors. But I don't think you can count them as Sith, because technically even Kylo Ren is technically not a Sith. He's a Knight of Ren.
That's right.
So yeah, you're limited to like what, 2 Sith? 3?
Yes.
4? Something
2
like
Sith,
that?
maybe depending on how many secret apprentices they have and stuff like that. But because I think that's what we're going to learn in Acolyte a little bit too, is that it seems like there's more than 2, because when you have a master and apprentice, they're each always looking for the next apprentice. So they secretly have it's like Vader, right? Come join me, Luke, and I'll train you, and then we'll kill the Emperor. So they're always training the next person, waiting to kill the other, you know? So that's why Palpatine is always having Dooku. He had Dooku in the wings. He had Maul, you know, and then was waiting for the next person, Anakin, till he's able to just get him out. And then, you know, Dooku tried to get Asajj there, but she never became Sith. So anyway, it's intriguing. It's very interesting. I'm very interested in it.
But see, this is exactly my point, is even the big fan that I am, most of the stuff you guys just talked about, I had no idea about. So I'll dial it back a little bit. Maybe
we're super geeks, Martin. So.
Well, I mean, you guys have a deeper knowledge of things just because of all the reading and stuff you do. But so I'll dial it back. Maybe the Sith are as bad. I was just thinking, you know, yin and yang, that it's just 2 different perspectives. But if the Sith are that bad and that evil, that still is interesting and fascinating, and it will be a neat exploration to visit a darker side of things like that, and how far will Disney allow it and let it be pushed?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, true. On that note, a little bit too, just to throw this in, if you remember a while ago, the creators of Game of Thrones, David Benioff and D.B. Weiss, were commissioned to do a Star Wars film. The rumor was that they were possibly doing the Old Republic. Mm-hmm. But apparently there's an article out now where they actually discuss the movie that they were going to be working on. And the movie was planned around the first Jedi.
Oh.
So they were going to talk about the first Jedi, how the Jedi Order started, why it became, and introduce the very first lightsaber.
So they were going to do a Dawn of the Jedi type of movie?
Basically. It seems like James Mangold is now hired to helm that, probably rewrite and redo whatever was there, is what I'm assuming.
Okay.
And they probably
Oh.
weren't ready at that time. It was probably premature. They weren't ready that time to announce the era of Dawn of the Jedi, you know? So
Yeah.
maybe they weren't going back as far in his time, and you know, maybe there was some questions on whether or not that story was ready to be told.
Yeah.
But
all the way back to the
Anyway.
beginning. That's interesting. Show us
Yeah,
the
'cause-
start of it all.
That's right, because now with James Mangold doing it, they've already released and told us that it's 25,000 years ago when this all started. So
So maybe we'll see how Hugh Yang got put together.
that's right, because he's been around that long. That's exactly right. Yes. So
First
interesting that-
lightsaber, first droid.
That's
There you
right.
go.
Yes. Okay. Before we get into this development talk here, of course, I want to run down through what's on the release schedule. You know, just to remind everybody. As far as novels go, right now the next one on the list is Defy the Storm, which is a High Republic novel coming out March 12th. You've got James Jackson Miller's The Living Force novel coming out April 9th. Another High Republic, Temptation of the Force, June 11th. The Mace Windu book, The Glass Abyss, is August 6th. And then Tears of the Nameless is September 3rd, the High Republic. And we also know, we mentioned yesterday, or not yesterday, but last week, we also know that the High Republic now is not finishing until well into 2025. So there's plenty of books from the High Republic Phase 3 that's going to be coming out. So everybody can kind of finish that series. Comics, this past week you had Star Wars 42, Mandalorian Season 2, number 8. Next week, Bounty Hunters 42, Obi-Wan Kenobi number 4. That's again the series getting adapted to comics, as well as High Republic number 3, and then Thrawn Alliances number 1 comes out January 24th. That's the adaptation of the book. And then Dr. Aphra at the end of this month, number 40 on there. So still some good comics coming out there. Okay, so now this development schedule. Now, just to tell everybody how, which I know everybody kind of knows this probably now, but everybody's got to understand by now that whenever something is announced or rumored, you know, because most of these magazines out there, like and Hannah knows these more like I do, that the Hollywood Reporter, Variety, you know, you get these magazines that have these scoops. They're usually the ones. Deadline is even one of them too. I think they're the ones that are getting these. They got these sources and they're telling them, you know, what the studios are about to announce. Or so more than likely, if you hear it in one of those, it's probably true. So most of the time, that's where we've been talking about a lot of the stuff that's coming out. You know, it's either a Variety article or a Hollywood Reporter article, and it's saying so and so is developing a Star Wars movie, or because that's where we've heard, you know, kind of Rian Johnson and Taika Waititi, and you know, all these Kevin Feige. These guys have been rumored to be working on Star. It ends up being true because they have come out and said, yeah, I was working on it, but it fell apart or haven't had time, kind of thing, right? So the development, when you hear stuff like that, it's really, you almost got to take it with a grain of salt until you actually get Lucasfilm confirmation, or you actually hear that when they're going into production. Because there's so many things that die in development.
Yeah.
Hannah's in the middle of this stuff right now with our company. A lot of development stuff dies.
Oh,
Yes.
man.
Yes.
Yeah.
So here, I just want to read out the slate first because looking at this list, I'm like, wow, there's actually a lot of stuff coming from Star Wars. So here's the list of confirmed from Lucasfilm content that we are getting from Star Wars.
All right.
Okay.
Tales of the Jedi, Season 2. Skeleton Crew. The Acolyte. Bad Batch Season 3. Dawn of the Jedi movie we just talked about. The new Jedi Order movie with Rey. Mm-hmm. Andor Season 2. Ahsoka Season 2, which is brand new. Mm-hmm. Dave Filoni's movie that was already announced. Mm-hmm. And now the new rumors or the new confirmations of Mandalorian Season 4. Mm-hmm. And the movie by Jon Favreau now coming out, The Mandalorian and Grogu.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
How many is that? Is that 12?
11.
11.
Yep.
So there is 11 projects that we are going to get.
Did you mention Ahsoka season 2?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
So those were the I kind of skipped one. I skipped the Filoni movie, but those were so that's the latest announcement, which is Ahsoka season 2, Grogu, the Mandalorian and Grogu. Now the season 4 Mandalorian is technically a rumor. Now that hasn't been fully confirmed, but that's one of the things again that's kind of running in the trades right now, and just kind of makes sense, because we'll get into the whole movie thing and whether or not that's even a smart idea, but we'll get there. So there's a lot. There's a lot on the slate right there. You've got 4 movies on that slate, and the rest are series, Disney Plus series. So
here are shows available on Disney Plus.
No, Siri, I don't want that. So let's go. Let's just dive into the news right now. Big news yesterday. From posted, I actually copied and texted both of you right away and said, from Star Wars, the announcement that a movie is going to be starting to shoot later this year, and they're calling it The Mandalorian and Grogu, directed by Jon Favreau, executive produced by Kathleen Kennedy, Jon Favreau, and Dave Filoni. Martin, I'll go to you first since you're the Mandalore podcast host here.
All right.
What's your reaction? What's your thoughts on that?
Is that the name that's confirmed, or is that just a working title?
I think it's, I just read you the list. Every title usually has the character title.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure that's what it's going to be called.
Mandalorian and Grogu. I mean, this came out of nowhere because what I think originally in all our discussions over the last few seasons, it came to be that all of these shows were coming towards a centerpiece, like whether it was Ahsoka and Bad Batch and Mandalorian and all these live action shows, they were coming towards a movie in the end that was going to wrap it all up because they had talked about building a connected universe in Star Wars, right? So that's what we thought was coming. So the fact that they're announcing this movie and it's only Mandalorian and Grogu, it seems like they've altered course a little bit.
Well, no. Dave Filoni's movie that's the one that they're culminating to.
That's the one that might culminate to. So it's still a little bit confusing because my initial question when you first sent me that text, I was like, well, is that replacing season 4 or is that coming after season 4? Because it seems like daily they're changing their direction on what they're doing. So, but I mean, my thoughts, I can't not be excited. I mean, you get a movie budget and then you throw Mando and Grogu up on the big screen with that type of budget, it can only be exciting and fun. And what are they going to do with it? But where does it come? Like, if we get a season 4, is it going to wrap up? Like, will season 4 be the end of their story that leads into the movie, which ties in to possibly the next movie that wraps all of them up? It seems like they're taking big leaps forward. Let's wrap up the TV show, end it with a movie, and then connect them to another movie with everybody else. That's kind of the process that I see. And that's okay. I mean, I guess go out on a high note. Maybe Mando and Grogu can't go on for 12 seasons. Maybe 4 seasons is good. They want to wrap it up while it's still good, while it's still popular. I'm excited, no matter what, because you guys just heard, for those of you that listen, when we did our top favorite lists on The Mandalore, Mandalorian was my number one. It's my favorite Disney show. It's my favorite Star Wars thing that they've done on Disney Plus. So I can't not be excited about it. Why not? Let's have a big screen. Let's see what they do with the big budget. Let's see where they go. Now, I'll let you guys share your thoughts because we're going to talk about predictions and hopes and stuff, right? Or do you want me to share that now?
No, we'll come back to that. I think we'll just get initial reactions here. And,
all right.
And I'll say that, well, Hannah, go ahead.
You can go first if you want.
No, I was just going to say a point, but I kind of forgot. So go ahead.
Why?
What?
Why? Grogu and Mando's story was done. Like, why do you need a season and a movie? What more story is there to tell? Unless you're going to pull something that was very similar to Boba Fett, which I didn't finish it yet still, but I know enough to know what happens. Unless they're going to pull that in the movie or in the TV show, or who knows, maybe Mandalorian season 4 is actually going to be about Bo-Katan.
Well, that's true too.
Because like that could happen. I don't see the need for it. And, Martin, I hope you're right in the sense of maybe the fourth movie is that's like the equivalent, or the fourth movie, the movie of with Mandalorian and Grogu. Maybe that's like the equivalent to Avengers Infinity War. And then the movie that Filoni's doing is the equivalent to Endgame. But I don't know. To me, my main question was just why? Why is it needed?
Yeah,
I have an answer for it, but we'll wait till we get to that.
Yeah, okay. Well, I think for me, look, I've always said I want movies. I want Star Wars movies. I want to go to the theater and watch Star Wars movies. I still can't believe, when they told us we were going to get one movie a year, they stopped doing that. Like we should have gotten one movie a year still.
Yeah.
But honestly, the first thing I went to when I heard this, which is just the fan in me, I feel like, but it's confusing because you're announcing this movie that hasn't even shot yet, but we've got other things that are ready to go and we have nothing from them. Like we haven't seen anything on The Acolyte. We haven't seen anything on Skeleton Crew. Anything on Bad Batch season 3. It's like I want to see some stuff, and I know that's coming this year. Yeah. And so the timing lately has just been a little odd for me on some of these announcements.
It makes you feel like you're waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Right.
Like, what's the bad news? Yes. Okay, that's the good news. What's the bad news?
Yeah, we're gonna throw you something good right now, but then later this week we're gonna say sorry, we're canceled this show. No.
Yeah.
But I am, at first, I will say that first when I sent this to Martin, I think I was still under the impression that this was the Filoni movie. Like Filoni's movie is now named The Mandalorian and Grogu.
Oh.
But it wasn't until I reread it and it said, no, this is directed by Favreau. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. So this is a whole new movie. Mm-hmm. Because I wasn't that excited when I first heard it. I'm like, oh, okay, we got the title for Filoni's movie. Great. But then I was like, oh, wait, Favreau's movie? This means this is a whole new movie.
Huh.
So I do think you're both on the right path in the sense that, if season 4 is getting done, which the rumor is that it's going to be short. It's going to be short, 6 episodes. And then you have the movie kind of make up that last 4 episodes or whatever, right? But I agree. I think if this one is about the Mandalorian and Grogu mainly, then you still have to have Bo-Katan became a very huge part of this series.
She did, yeah.
So, and it seems like like you said, Hannah, it seems like Grogu and Mandalorian kind of went on their own, and they're kind of hanging back and just retiring out on Navarro now. They got the whole big piece of land, It's like, what possibly could bring them back into the game? So obviously there's something, but we can speculate here in a little minute. But I just think the timing was weird. That it's Favreau and it's Favreau's movie. Even though I'm glad he's doing a Star Wars movie now. That's incredible. So, yeah, I'm definitely excited. I'm excited for any Star Wars movie right now. To be honest, I just want one. It seems like now it's gonna be interesting to know which one we get first, because the new Jedi Order one is also shooting this year, and then Favreau shoots later. So I'm curious on when, which one's going to land first and how they're going to do that. But I do think this one will come first as far as the compared to Filoni's movie. I think Filoni's movie is a little ways down the road, because they haven't even shot season 2 of Ahsoka, which I think that'll be before that movie as well. So I think what it looks like is you're going to have season 4 and this movie, and then I think you're going to get Ahsoka season 2, and then I think it's Filoni's movie, because I don't think. Let's see, what was it? The Boba Fett's not going to get another season, I don't think. And then Skeleton Crew is tied into this somehow, but I think that's probably just a one-off season. So yeah, so that's kind of right now where I think it's going to land, but that's to come.
You know what it kind of feels like? Like just listening to you share all of this, it kind of feels like they're at this point where they're like, yes, the COVID, the strikes, all of that is over. Let's open the floodgates and announce everything. And wow, there's tons of stuff coming. It's like they've been sitting on this, just waiting and waiting and waiting. And now they're just too excited, and they're announcing it because we're in a bit of a lull. And I think also maybe what plays into it is they don't want to lose people's attention. Like, we haven't heard anything about Star Wars for 7 months. I'm going to start looking over here and looking at other. No, let's keep them focused on Star Wars. We need you guys listening to us, so we don't lose you. I think there's kind of a little bit of that in there too.
Probably.
Yeah, definitely think so. I think it's been a long time since we've gotten something, right? So,
yeah,
there's just been rumors around for a while, and then you've got that announcement that what's coming in 2024, but that was a press release like in Europe, I think, that people started pulling that from, that was telling us that we were getting the Bad Batch and Acolyte and Tales of the Jedi and Skeleton Crew. So, again, it hasn't been an actual Lucasfilm announcement that these things are coming this year. There hasn't been a Lucasfilm announcement of when these things are coming. So it's weird that this is the first thing they officially announced this year, even though this thing hasn't even started shooting yet. So anyway,
builds excitement.
But how are you excited about the other news that came with this, which was season 2 of Ahsoka, Martin?
Well, that's a surprise, because I think what hit the social media wave so far is Rosario Dawson, said something somewhere on social media, and it made season 2 look less likely.
Right.
And then not 3 days later, this announcement comes out. So I wasn't sure, because when we wrapped on Ahsoka, like it felt like there should be more. Like they left so many things hanging, but then with the loss of Ray Stevenson, how can they continue that character? There was just a lot of questions that came at the end of it. Okay, they're like, Ahsoka, is she left stranded in this planet in this other galaxy? What they can't leave her there. There has to be something to get her back to our galaxy to help Ezra fight Thrawn. Like it just left things a little too open. So I think a season 2 has to happen, unless they were planning to leave that for the movie. It makes more sense. I think it's season 2 to build it up more, to build the path towards the big collective movie makes more sense. So now that it's out, I'm very excited. I'm very happy, and I think I feel more relieved that, okay, this is the right path for them to go. Because a season of a TV show allows us to get a much more in-depth story, a much more thorough story of everything that's happening. A movie gives you 2 hours to tell the story in. And quite often they have to squeeze so much in that the story gets rushed along pretty quickly. Where if we get another season of Ahsoka, it allows it to stretch that story out and build it up for us so that when the movie does come, everything's been laid in place and everything is, it's like the way Hannah described Marvel reaching the point of Endgame. It was building to this massive climax. And that's why it was so good. You can't do what DC did and jump the gun and jump right to Justice League. Boom, here's the climax. Well, climax to what? We didn't build anything up to it. And so I love that Star Wars is taking this approach. Nice and slow. Let's get there and build it up. It's good.
Yep. Hannah, excited?
I completely agree with the fact that I love that.
Or is it a why again?
It's not a why because there are a lot of loose ends that need to be tied up. Even though Ahsoka wasn't one of my favorites, Baylan is the most interesting character of that entire series. And I want to learn more. Baylan.
She did say Baylan.
We're together on that. He's one of my favorite characters Star Wars has ever created. So I love that you said that.
In modern history, yes, absolutely. He's so fascinating. I want to learn more about his like cult-ish dark Jedi Watsuma doobie that he's doing. I want to learn more about that.
Totally.
So, I mean, it is sad that Ray did pass away. I hope they continue his character through another actor, unfortunately. But there were so many loose ends, and I'm really, really glad because I thought the other way they were going to do this is Filoni's movie was actually going to be a trilogy of movies. So I agree with you, Martin. I think that it's good that they're taking this slowly and they're slowly building up to that climax. So I'm excited for it to get answers. I'm not necessarily excited for it regarding story, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited for season 2. I mean, I think all the reasons you guys said, there's definitely unanswered questions. There's definitely, things that has to be figured out. They did officially release this sketch did you see the sketch that Filoni drew? Oh, you guys haven't seen that?
No.
Pulling it up.
Yeah. So
what do we search for?
Yep.
Well, here, I'll just send it to you here in a second, Martin. Hannah will find it real fast, I think. But I saw it's on their Twitter.
Oh wait, is it? Dave Filoni put it? Oh my gosh! Okay.
Yeah, it's the. Here, Martin. I'll just send it to you.
Is it? Yeah, I see it here. New sketch revealed. Is it the two of them standing on the finger of that statue?
Yes.
Yeah.
So they are standing where we last saw Baylan.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm assuming that's obviously Ahsoka and Sabine.
Looks like it, yes.
Yeah.
So that right there is telling you we're going to go deeper into the father, the son, and the daughter.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Right? And that's obviously
hoping for that.
Yeah, and that's obviously a story that Filoni is interested in telling.
Well, then if you look at it, Ahsoka is standing closer to the end of the finger. The finger of the statue is pointing somewhere, and she's looking off into the distance where it's pointing at.
Sure. Which is what Baylan was doing, right?
I am so intrigued because
here's my first prediction though about this.
Okay.
Which I would be happy to be wrong about this.
Uh-oh.
But part of me feels like that because Ray Stevenson is gone. The shot that we saw of him looking into the distance with this, basically what I think is going to happen is that whatever journey that Baylan did from that point on, Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to see that. I think we're going to see Ahsoka and Sabine take the same journey and discover what happened to him. Because I have a feeling they're not going to recast him.
Oh.
And I know everybody wants to see it, but part of me, I don't know. That's just kind of how I feel creatively. If I was Filoni, I would want to honor his legacy, but not, because again, if this is Ahsoka's story, Ahsoka's series, having her figure out what this means is what matters most, I think.
That's a good point.
And
That is an excellent point.
And you find out once she reaches the end, I think you find out what happened you find out probably what happens to Balin. Because in the journey he went through and maybe there's like, some trial or something that he didn't survive, but Ahsoka has to survive it, to get, I don't know. That's kind of, because the whole thing about the Mortis arc in the Clone Wars, I mean, that was daunting for Anakin, Ahsoka, Obi-Wan. I think Ahsoka even like temporarily died in that. So it's like, so it's not a good thing, whatever this stuff is. Right. So anyway, that's my initial feeling about it when I saw that, that this was.
I don't even know how I feel about that. Like, because Balin Skull was such a cool character, I don't know if I'm ready to accept that his story has to come to an end. And it just sucks that Rey's isn't with us anymore. But when you talk about dream casting, I saw somebody put together an image of Liev Schreiber carrying on the role.
That looked pretty good.
And wow, he can pull off Balin Skull if we needed to have somebody. If we could get Liev Schreiber in there, I would be perfectly content with that. And he's a decent enough actor; he could play it just the same.
Right.
Throw a little AI in there as well, and you're good to go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's very interesting, though. I really hope they go through that whole Mortis thing, because didn't at one point Ahsoka look and see a bird, and that was the same creature that we saw in the Clone Wars during that arc?
Yeah, it's Moray. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean,
she was at the end of the series too, I think. Did she see Moray? Yeah.
Yep, she did. So I think that is where it's going to go. I understand the whole idea of what you're saying about honoring Rey and his legacy, playing Balin. But then my question is, how does Balin's story, how does his story end?
Well, I think that's what I was saying. I think
kill him off, or
I think there will be an explanation of what happens to that character, but it's discovered by Ahsoka. Like she's discovering it like we are discovering it. I don't think we ever see it, but we find out what happened to him because she's going to follow this journey and almost like follow in his footsteps, like almost like track him. Like he went this way and there's something out there, so let's go see what's out there. And then they go through this journey like he did, but we just don't see it in his eyes. We see it in her eyes. So,
which could be what that drawing is depicting. Is that's the last shot we saw of Balin. It's in fact one of the last shots of Ahsoka.
Exactly. Well, exactly.
The series. So now she's standing in the same place. So it makes perfect sense. Like this is where Balin was, and it led him somewhere. Mm-hmm. Now Ahsoka's going to pick up that track and follow him. But my question, though, is what would be the better way to honor his legacy? To show us his story through her eyes, or to recast him and allow the character that he created continue on? What would be a better way?
Well, and that's a good question. I think, I think you kind of have to look back at history a little bit, the characters that get replaced. It's easy when someone just kind of walks away from a role. For example, like Terrence Howard with Rhodey and Iron Man. Like he didn't do the second one, so you bring in Don Cheadle, and Don Cheadle continues on. But had something happened to Terrence Howard, like had he passed away, I mean, that's probably a little different because they had a whole saga around Rhodey that they were going to do. But you look back at Christopher Nolan with The Dark Knight. You know, Heath Ledger dies. His character was going to be in the third movie. Mm-hmm. But you're not going to recast Heath Ledger's Joker.
No.
You know, not only can no one fill those shoes, but you got to honor his performance. I mean, he won an Oscar for his performance. You're not going to give that to anybody else. So in this case, when, you know, Ray passes away, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. It'd be hard. I think it'd be hard to recast him, to be honest. You can do it for sure. Just like
you could.
I mean, just like Leia, right? I mean, Carrie Fisher and The Rise of Skywalker, there's no way they're going to recast her and
not a legacy character like that.
No.
Well, no. I mean, you just can't do it. So,
but as a good example, go ahead.
I was about to say another good example is when Chadwick Boseman passed away.
Exactly.
They didn't recast Black Panther.
They didn't recast him.
They passed on the legacy to it.
He passed in the movie. Yeah, he died in the movie. Yeah. That's a great example right there because Black Panther was supposed to have. Black Panther was going to have a long-lasting presence in the MCU. Mm-hmm. They're gonna come to a different Black Panther, I'm sure, but it's not going to be Chadwick Boseman. Yes, that's a great example.
Well, and now to give you an example on the other side of it as to why recasting would be a good idea, I go back to the Spartacus TV show. The actor who played Spartacus in season 1 passed away. Young guy, 30 years old, passed away from a heart condition. They waited a season. They did a prequel season focused on another character, and then they came back and they recast Spartacus for season 3 and 4. And that actor had to come in and fill his shoes, but it ended up working. He did a fantastic job continuing the role of Spartacus, and I felt that also honored the actor that passed away. Like, you started this journey, now we're going to finish it for you.
Yeah.
And I thought that's a good way to do it too.
That's a good way. I will say Star Wars, I will say the thing about Star Wars, which actually I really love about it, is the likeness of a character is so ingrained in the canon. Yeah. And even though Liev Schreiber would come in and probably look like him, it's not quite the same, you know? Mm-hmm. You know, and we've had a little bit of that drawing, you know, kind of crossing the line a little bit when you look at characters like Mon Mothma now. It's kind of, you know, gone over each other as far as timeline goes. Yeah. Han Solo obviously has been played by a different character in the younger years that technically doesn't look that much like Harrison Ford, but, you know, so it's been skewed a little bit, but again, I would not be disappointed by any means if they recasted. I think I just feel like there's probably a hesitancy with Filoni just because, you know, you've seen the behind the scenes photos. I mean, that cast looked like they really got along with each other.
Oh, totally.
They really, you know, embraced each other and they loved Ray. And I think it'd be hard if someone came in and played that character, not just for Ray, the person playing that character, but all the people on set, you know. And I don't know, you know. Yep. But I look at it both ways. I don't think any way is by any means dishonoring the legacy. I just think that, you know, letting his performance how it was is a great honor, in my opinion. Yep. But Hannah, you were about to say something?
I was about to say, what about, like, Luke is a poor example in Mandalorian and in Book of Boba Fett, but what about what they did with Tarkin in Rogue One?
Yeah. Very true. Yeah. So that's a good point. Like, do you bring somebody in like a Liev Schreiber still to at least stand in and be the character, but then, you know, CG or deep fake Ray in there? I mean, I'm okay with that. I don't know if I'm okay with that. I think I'm more for that than an actual new person coming in fully.
I mean, they deep faked Leia at the end of Rogue One.
They did.
They did. And I mean, at least with that, Carrie Fisher was alive at that point, right? During Rogue One?
No,
she wasn't.
No. I don't think so.
Rogue One she was, yes.
Yeah,
but
she was
wasn't
alive for Rogue One, so she could do the voice. And Mark Hamill is alive, so he could like do the mannerisms and walk the actor through it, and so that's covered.
Right.
Which
But
he
then
did
you
in The Mandalorian when he showed up.
That's right.
Yeah.
So then the question is with someone like Tarkin, because that actor is no longer around. So
Yeah.
Yes. And that actor that they got was also a British actor that apparently was like a major fan of Peter Cushing. So he like studied all of his mannerisms and that was pretty spot on, to be honest. I mean,
he did an
if you did
excellent
that technology now, it would look even better.
The Indiana Jones movie is a perfect example of how much that technology has improved.
That's right.
I barely caught it. There was barely a mistake in Indiana Jones when they had the young Harrison Ford. I caught it a couple times, but it was pretty flawless.
Yes.
Definitely not as jarring as the first time you watch Rogue One, where you're like, "Whoa, okay."
Yeah.
Yeah. But with Tarkin too, they had an advantage with it was kind of a dark setting, so you had a lot of shadows, so you can hide some of the flaws. But I remember sitting in Rogue One and seeing the back of Tarkin, and I was thinking, wait a minute, there's no way they're going to show him, because they showed his reflection in the window at first, and then when he turned around, I was like, oh my gosh, that's Peter Cushing. This is what the heck? How did they do that?
Puppeteering his corpse, like what's?
Yeah, I was like, wow.
Again, that Bernie.
Yeah.
I was really impressed by that, because honestly, again, if that person would have turned around acting as Tarkin and it was a different face, I would have been totally out of it. Like I would have been like, whoa, that's not Tarkin. This isn't real anymore. So that's what Star Wars, I think, does a really good job in the likeness of that character. Because it is Peter Cushing, but it's Tarkin. Like that face is Tarkin, right? So anyway, so all right, so the Ahsoka season 2, we still got to do real quick. We want to go go back to Mandalorian and Grogu for a second.
Okay.
Because I know you're probably dying to share your thoughts on what you think it's going to be about. Like, where can Grogu and Mando go in this movie?
Okay. Well, maybe my response can also answer Hannah's question as to why.
Yes.
Why would you do it? It's kind of like what we've been talking about with Balin, is there is so much unknown with Grogu still. Where did he come from? Where is his people? Why is he alone? There's a lot of these mysterious answers that we do not have. And if you remember in season 1 and season 2, Mando's only focus was, I have to find Grogu's people. Until he figured out about the Jedi or whatever, he was more like, where did Grogu come from? I need to find his species. So I think if Lucas allows it, or whoever's in charge now, if they're allowed to go that path and give us a little more history on Yoda's species and people and where they come from, that's where they can go with this. They can pick up that journey again and let's find Grogu's people. That's one angle. The other angle they could do is, well, he just got anointed an apprentice, a Mandalorian apprentice. He's going to learn and train under Mando. Maybe we see some of that. Maybe we see him grow up a little bit. Maybe we see him start to speak. Maybe he starts to learn some ways of the Mandalorian.
Okay. Is that a good answer to your why, Hannah?
So what you're saying is Grogu's going to go through an angsty teenage period where he's like, you don't even understand me. You're not my real dad. And so they have to go on a whole journey to figure out who his real father is.
I don't know about angsty teenager, because he's going to live for 800-900 years. So, how much of a time jump are they really going to do? I don't think I would want that much of a time jump, at least to a point where there was all that discussion. Did he say his first words at the very end there? Did we hear him say, this is the way, right? Because it sounded like he did. So if we could at least get him to speaking a few words and just see, because we saw a little bit of training on the Mandalorian beach there. He was starting to train. You could figure it out. But me personally, I would love to pick up the the mystery of where he's from. Let's learn a little bit more about Yoda's species. I think I want to know that. And that could be your why.
I don't think I do. I think there's something really cool about the fact that we don't know everything. Like, it's one thing to have plot holes, but to have a whole species that is just mysterious and we know nothing about, we don't even know the name of said species.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's awesome. So I kind of prefer that to be a mystery. But okay, maybe he's not an angsty teenager. Maybe he's just a tantrum toddler.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I don't disagree with you. Like, I agree with you about the mysterious part. I don't think I want to know all the answers, but I'd like them to find something out. That just gives us a little bit more, at least. If it's just the name of a species or just the planet they came from and the species is wiped out, I think it could be a tragic yet relieving story to know that Grogu is maybe one of the last of his kind. We thought Yoda was, and then we saw Yaddle. Oh, there's more. Well, then Yaddle died. Okay, and like just to get a little bit more. I don't know if it's closure that we're looking for or what, but yeah, it's just. I mean, he's just as fascinating to me as Baylan Skoll, and I would like to know a little bit more. I don't have to have all the answers, but that was my attempt at answering your why. Those are the two reasons I could come up with. Okay. If not just to continue their story as not master and apprentice, but the clan of two, right? Because they got anointed this too. So we need to see that. Maybe he takes on another person. Maybe their clan grows and they're a clan of 3, a clan of 4. Like, I don't know.
Well, actually, I was about to say, I think the clan of 2 is actually a better title for the movie.
Yeah.
Than the Mandalorian Grogu.
Yes.
Otherwise, it looked like he was on a ranch home. So all of a sudden you're starting a summer camp for kids interested in being Mandalorians.
Which, and to that point, I understand why you would say their story is done, because when you look at the way season 3 ended, Mando's kicking up his feet on his little ranch. Grogu's out in the yard playing with the frogs. It looks like, okay, that's a good closure to their story. They're done.
Even does the circle close.
It even does. It exactly.
Does. And here's the thing, too, that we didn't even mention, but I'm pretty sure it's been confirmed, right? That, Pedro is not going to be in the suit ever again.
Just the voice.
He's just going to do the voice. So we're never going to see his face.
Yeah.
Which is disappointing, I think. He's just a huge draw right now. He's a massive star. Everybody wants to work with him. Everybody wants to use him. It's like, it'd be crazy not to be able to try to get him in this movie and take the mask off.
Look how much he's doing. He's got The Last of Us season 2 coming out, and then he just got announced that he's going to be Mr. Fantastic. Like,
right?
What can't this guy do? So I mean,
he's going to be Mr. Fantastic.
I don't know if that's been officially announced, but he's the leading candidate apparently for Richards.
Also, he's not going to have that big of a part in Last of Us Part 2. Spoilers if you haven't played the game. Just throwing that out there.
Unless they change it.
You're changing the whole story if he's not in.
True.
If he's in more than just the first bit, you're changing the whole story.
Okay.
Yeah. Well,
we'll see. Yeah.
We'll see.
But if they truly want him in it, they'll just have to throw enough money at him to entice him to come back, just for a scene where he takes off the helmet to.
Well, yeah, and I don't know if he has the time right now. If they're shooting later this year, that's apparently when the Fantastic Four is shooting late, because they did just announce that they delayed the shooting of that, and a lot of people are thinking because Pedro's shooting something else this summer, so that's why. So it's like he's booked this year, it sounds like. So
Elisa Tano just told me what he's doing too.
Obviously, he has time to do voiceover, I'm sure, but it doesn't sound like he's going to be in the suit anymore.
He's in the sequel to the Gladiator movie.
Yes, that's right.
That's what it is.
Oh.
Yeah.
Ridley Scott doing Gladiator 2. Yep.
So,
so there's a lot there. Obviously he's got to do the voice at least. You can't change the voice at this point. But it's just a shame that we never. I thought we were going to get to the point where we were going to see him take the mask off more.
Follow more Bo-Katan's belief that
correct.
You can take it off whenever you want. Same with Boba Fett. Like
that's right.
He's surrounded by that type of people, but you know, will we ever see the armorer take her mask off?
Probably not.
Right.
I mean, that whole group apparently isn't. They're not budging.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, Martin, any final thoughts on this? What do you think about this whole slate of stuff that we're getting here? And
Well, that's a lot. What I'm curious is how many years is that going to be stretched over? Because you just gave us 11 new projects. That could be over the next 10 years. Like,
yeah, I don't think it'd be that long, but I mean, four of those 11 are coming this year, right?
Right. Okay, so we're almost at half right there.
Yeah. So you'll next year you definitely get Andor season 2 next year.
Right.
Do you get one of the? I mean, I think I saw that the release dates for the movies. I remember when they talked about the first 3 movies, which was the Rey movie, Filoni's movie, and Dawn of the Jedi. So technically right now, the next Disney Star Wars release date in theaters is May 22nd of 2026.
Wow.
So 2 years from now, a little over 2 years from now, is when apparently we're probably going to get the Rey movie, because that's the movie about to shoot in April, apparently. And then December of 26, so that's 2 movies that year. So Star Wars 2 movies that year, crazy. December of 2026 could be, it was rumored, I mean, again, either going to be the Dawn of the Jedi movie or Filoni's movie, but now could that be Favreau's movie? Could that be this movie now, since it's shooting this year? That would make more sense. And then the other one was December 2027. So then obviously you're probably pushing Dawn of the Jedi or Filoni's movie back to that.
So if they're going to do 2 in a year, like, are we going to go back to the May the 4th be with you release date or Christmas release dates? Because
they're doing both apparently. They're doing May and December. So
okay,
yeah. May right now dates change like crazy. So it's like right now though you have May 2026, December 2026, and December 2027 right now. Or when studios release this and they put it out there, they don't obviously put the titles. They put like Star Wars untitled film or Marvel untitled film. So right now those are the 3 dates that Lucasfilm has reserved so far.
Okay.
But we'll see. I mean, obviously it can change. Obviously there's going to be a 4th one in there if you're talking about Favreau's movie. So
yeah.
But I think as far as the series go, I think it's over the next 2, maybe 3 years. Okay. So, I mean, basically, I think we've got this content through 2027. Is what I would say.
That's good for our podcasts.
Yeah, and that's not counting. I believe that with the Bad Batch coming to an end, I believe they already have an animated series ready to go. The next animated series, whatever that's going to be. I think there's going to be some new announcement for that. There's other things that are going to, Lando, this whole Lando series that kind of went on hold. I mean, there's still kind of rumors that could, there's other things that are going to pop up, I'm sure. There was a Star Wars Droids series that they were going to do.
I was really looking forward to that one.
Yeah. So
that'd be fun.
That's been rumored that it's still kind of in works, so this is the for sure slate. I'm sure there's other things that they're doing. Now, again, though, could that change? Because, Bob Iger's come out and said, we're not going to do quantity anymore. We're going to do quality.
Yeah.
So Good. A lot of that stuff might have been cut, might have been thrown on the floor, but we'll see. Who knows?
Indeed.
Well, if to give you a contradictory answer, like, because I know, we were going back and forth and you guys are reading my comments on your show, just razzing you a little bit, like, it's been fun, but I have my mind is split because I want all the Star Wars. Give it to me. Give me as much as I can because I want to watch Star Wars 24/7. But at the same time, I don't want so much quantity that the quality plummets. So I'm
Yes.
willing to wait. If I have to wait a year before I get to the next movie, or wait 2 years before I get to the movie, I'm okay with that, because I waited 40 years, I waited 22 years or 18 years, whatever it was between the gaps of the trilogies, right? So that's really hard to do, because we never thought we were going to get Star Wars again after the original trilogy and then after the prequel trilogy. So if we have to wait 3-4 years, I'm okay with that. As much as my desire is to watch Star Wars all the time, I am okay with waiting for quality. So that's my torn in the middle answer.
Yeah.
What is it that Sirius Black says? I've done my waiting 12 years of it.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. Yes. Yeah. I'm
Well,
ready
what about you
for-
guys? Like, how do you feel about this release schedule?
I am with you in the fact of I prefer quality over quantity. I am more than willing to wait if it's going to be good, because if it's not going to be good, I'm not going to want to watch it.
Yeah.
See,
Like that's just my point of view.
I definitely want quality over quantity. There's no doubt about that. I want quality. But regardless of the quality, that's so subjective, because
That's true.
I may love something that you all don't like. So when we're talking about quality, I think, in the filmmaking process, quality tends to get diminished when you're rushing or you don't have a lot of money, right?
Yeah. Yep.
The writing, the acting, all that's subjective to fans. Some fans love it, some fans hate it. But when it gets to quality, you have to spend time doing it, and you have to spend the right money and be conscious of the budget. So when it comes to quality, here's the thing. Part of me thinks you should be able to, if you're Disney, you should be able to do both, because take an instance like Hannah. We live, or we work in the same company. We're a production company. If all of us, Hannah, if we're working on 5 TV shows at the same time, there's going to be some quality issues with what we're doing, because we're so stretched.
Yep.
But in Disney's case, you're not putting the same crews on every one of these projects, right? You got different crews, you got different creators, you got different writers. So they can spend time on that project, making sure that quality is there. So that's why I was always questioning, like, why can't I get one Star Wars movie a year? Because all that team of people is doing is worrying about that Star Wars movie.
But the thing is, I point over to what they did with Avengers and all those TV shows for Marvel.
Yeah.
I just point at that as an example. That is quantity over quality. It just
Recently,
is.
yeah.
Like recently, after, my opinion is it went downhill after Endgame.
Endgame. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's I totally agree with you there, because if Star Wars could follow the Avengers route just by the movies, just the whole Infinity Saga, that's still quality and quantity, because sometimes we got 2 movies a year. But every single one of us rushed to the theater to see the next continuation chapter in the Infinity Saga to get to the end. So if they did Star Wars like that, then I would be down for it. Because that's both quality and quantity. They can do it. Disney owns Marvel and Star Wars. They proved they can do it with Marvel. Let's do it with Star Wars too, and not have 2 movies in the theaters plus 6 TV shows, because now you're stretching it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But to that point, again, in the Marvel, they were different creators for every one of those movies. You had the constant, which was Kevin Feige.
Yeah.
Which right now it looks like we have the constant of Dave Filoni. That's going to be the chief creative officer of all these things. So
There you go.
You have someone like that overseeing everything. I think you can do a lot more stuff. Now, it comes down to money too. I mean, if Disney's losing money, it's like they just can't put it out there as much. So there's definitely a big scale that they have to balance. So
Well, they upped their Disney Plus subscription, so they got money coming in.
Well, they did.
Mine went from $80 a year to $160 a year.
And they continue to up the park prices. So, it's... But I'm going anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. There's number 4.
Yeah. I'm going.
Number 4 mentioning going to Disney.
Yeah. So, all right. Okay, let's actually read a couple comments here by chance anyway.
All right.
So, one I'm going to go to on Patreon actually, because Darth S&M, who's one of our patrons here,
Nice.
wrote on here. He says, he said, listening to episode 420, you are discussing upcoming things from your show. I love the idea of a live commentary. I want to be part of y'all's discussion so bad. I need other mega fans to talk about Star Wars with. Food for thought. I won't say much. It is your show and all, which is fine. We definitely. That's why we'll open it up to live. If we get on here, Darth, we'll get you on here. By the way, I don't comment much on YouTube, so I might just be dumb. Can you not comment on videos on the mobile app? I got stuff to say. By the way, what were you talking about? What you were talking about at the top of the episode. In no way did it sound negative or bad or anything. You got nothing to worry about. Y'all are great at playing it all, Stevens. Even Stevens. Thanks for everything, y'all. Happy belated New Year. Yeah, thanks for that. I was a little worried about that because we don't really go to those kind of subjects. I don't know if you heard that, Martin.
I listened.
Yeah. We were debating whether or not to even bring it up because we just, that can be dicey territory.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely can.
It can be. I got opinions about it, but
I'll check on that, Darth, because I don't know. You should be able to comment on the mobile. I mean, you can comment on.
That's where all my comments come from, Darth. The ones that they've been reading. I just do it through the YouTube app on my phone, but I am on Android, so I don't know if Android or iPhone has a difference. But
you should be able to comment on iPhone because I know I've done that before. I'm pulling it up now to see, but you should be able to.
And not to sound like, I'm trying to correct you or anything, Darth S&M, but maybe you're not signed in because I think you have to be signed in to be able to comment, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you have to have a YouTube account to be able to sign in with. Yeah.
Yeah. So as long as you got that and you're signed in, just make sure you're signed in, I guess.
Well, you don't have to have a YouTube channel. Let me correct. You don't have to have your own channel, but I think your YouTube account connects to your Google account now.
Correct.
So
yeah,
you need to be signed in to be able to comment. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. And so to comment, just as an idea, if you're looking at any video on the app, you'll see the comment section. Just click on the comment section. It'll pull up all the comments. And at the very bottom of the screen, it says add a comment.
Add a comment. Yeah.
And you click on that.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. But either way, Darth, if you do it through Patreon, I'll see it and we'll get you on the show like we just did. So no worries. Either way, however you want to do it, man.
Yeah. And just to continue with what I was talking about, you guys doing the live commentary, have you discussed, you're going to watch a movie and talk about it while you're watching it and have everybody else also talk about it?
Correct.
Are you going to pause the movie? Oh, wait. Okay.
No,
what happened
no
there?
pausing.
What do we think of that scene?
No pausing.
Just talking over. Okay.
2 hours, 2.5 hours, whatever, how long the movie is, 2 hours straight.
To be honest, Martin, if we allowed pausing, it would be an 8-hour stream. I mean,
it'd be the Mandalorian podcast. Yeah. No, I specifically, Martin. This will be the third time on Inside the Force that I will have done commentaries for the movies. Now, the first time me and Casey did them,
I remember
we did those. We were just podcast ones, and we did it while we were watching because back then we didn't do video yet. So we watched the movies, and that was before Episode 7 came out. So we did the first 6 movies, and then when 7 came out, and then Rogue One came out, the year leading up to Episode 8, we redid the commentaries and then included Episode 7 and Rogue One. And we watched it in chronological order. So we did Rogue One before Episode 4. And so now what we're going to do, when Hannah hasn't done a commentary with me yet. So what we're going to do is we're going to do chronological order again on, timeline order. We're going to start January. We're going to do episode 1, and each month we're going to do episode 2, 3, Rogue One, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we'll do Solo's in there too. So we'll do 11 movies and end in November. So Rise of Skywalker we'll do in November.
Now, you guys are going to watch, because you won't be able to play the movie within Patreon for other people to see. Like, you're all going to have to watch it on your own.
I don't know yet.
Your own way. Yeah.
I got to see how that works, because I'm going to test it out, because I think with Riverside, which is what we use to record this, I think if we do a live feed out of here, I think I can, Hannah, I was thinking about this. I think I can do a screen share. And kind of minimize it. And I think I got to test it out, but I think I can do it that way. But if not, then we were talking about doing like a watch party on Disney Plus. So we're watching it in sync, and then just invite
3, 2, 1, press play.
Well, watch party, only one person has to hit play, and then the other person it watches, it syncs, right? So so we'll do it that way if we have to, but and what I'm going to do is, that's why I was thinking, and Hannah, I didn't tell you this yet, but we'll do the live probably just for Patreon, and then what I'll do is I'll actually save it and edit it like I did before and put it up on YouTube afterwards for everybody else. So that's kind of the plan.
If you don't mind, I would love to visit you guys on one of them. At least if you could get me in on Empire Strikes Back, my favorite of all of them, that would be fun.
Yeah, sure.
I don't want to step on your feet. It's your show, but
No.
Amen.
And what I do is, my plan is not necessarily, or the idea for these commentaries, because everybody, I want to make them different. And the idea of these commentaries are always, it's not about commenting on what we've already seen hundreds of times. I mean, we've all seen these movies. It's about those moments in the movies that are now impacted with the materials that we've gotten since. How has this movie changed? Because, for example, episode 1, Hannah, we've reviewed all of those, Queen's Hope, Queen's Shadow. Like, you've gotten a lot more insight now on Padme. Like, that impacts the perception of that movie now, right? Tales of the Jedi with Ahsoka being at her funeral. I mean, it's like there's aspects of what we're getting now that changes. So that's what the commentaries are going to be about. Like, how has this movie changed over the years because of the material that we have afterwards? Those are the things that we talk about. So,
cool.
It's fun. It's fun.
Yeah.
It's a whole new perspective. It's not just like regurgitating kind of what we see on screen all the time. It's like that. Everybody does that. Let's do something different. So, all right, a couple more comments on our last episode from JoJo on YouTube here. Can't wait for the new series and movies. Thanks for all your podcasts. Oh, and movie commentaries by you guys. Amazing. All right. Everybody wants this.
There you
All
go.
right.
Thrawn Addict. I look forward to 2024 for Star Wars and Inside the Force. Yes, finally need more Inside the Force commentaries. Cannot wait. Thanks again. May the Force be with you. And then Thrawn Addict commented on our council sessions, Martin. He says, great discussion. Very excited to see where Dave Filoni will take Star Wars, especially after his Mando film and Ahsoka series 2 stories. I do think you have to be careful from taking real stories from other things and putting them in the Star Wars type world. Zack Snyder just did that with Rebel Moon Netflix film, and it's just basically Disney's Bug's Life story. Also, Avatar is pretty much Dance with Wolves film, but set on a different planet. I think fans notice these things, and it lets these films down. I do understand your thinking, though. Smaller and more realistic stories, not connected in the Star Wars movies, would be a good move. I still think there's so much to explore in the past with Old Republic times. Still a time and things in it people are familiar with, but not really have been touched on screen.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate his perspective on it. I think maybe to clarify a little bit more, when we were talking about taking stories from real life and putting them into Star Wars, maybe not very specific stories, but just the idea. Let's have a buddy cop movie. Just the concept of a buddy cop movie in Star Wars. It doesn't have to be, let's put Lethal Weapon into Star Wars and have those two specific guys run around, but just the concept overall as the underlining,
Hannah wants a buddy cop movie.
Yeah.
I really do. I want a buddy cop. I want a dark comedy. I want a buddy cop. I want.
Yeah.
Didn't you want? Was it Poe and Finn? You wanted
I
as a
would
buddy cop?
love to see a Poe and Finn buddy cop movie. I mean, come on,
See,
come on.
and that was one of the things that we were having a fun disagreeing with. That's just natural comedy. Poe and Finn are funny together, but they don't have to force it. It just naturally happens.
Right.
They're funny, and I would love to have a movie of just the two of them because it would be a blast. It would be a ton of fun.
But that's where true comedy comes from. Is that it's not forced. It just
Exactly.
Yeah, which is Star Wars. That's
Yeah.
Star Wars for sure.
Yeah. But so if they were to do a movie, like don't label it, oh, here's Star Wars comedy, twins or whatever, like I'm thinking Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito twins. Like, don't label it as here's the first Star Wars comedy ever. No, here's a Poe and Finn movie. And guess what? It's going to be funny because you know the characters already. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, cool.
All right. That is the show for this episode of Inside the Force. Again, thanks to our patrons as always. Keep commenting on there. Go to youtube.com/Inside the Force. You can see all of our stuff there, including our most recent episode of Council Sessions that Martin and I did. We talk about what we would do if we were chief creative officer of Lucasfilm.
Yeah, it was a good one.
Yeah, it was a good one.
Yes.
We got more Beyond the Saga coming next week.
Do you
Hannah
listen,
and I-
Hannah? I'm curious. The episodes that you aren't part of, do you listen to them?
I do. I
Okay.
do listen to them. I
Yeah.
do.
Just wondering.
Yes.
No,
so,
I
yeah,
only
so
listen
more-
to Beyond the Saga and Inside the Force.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. I will say this. I preview everything on here. I don't, even if this is in development. How about this? In development right now for Inside the Force. There's actually, and Hannah, again, I keep saying I'm going to talk to you about this, and I keep forgetting.
He wants to get your surprise on video. That's what.
Yeah, I know,
that's all
right?
it is.
Yeah.
Because I know you're a gamer. You're a tabletop gamer.
Yes.
Oh.
There's a new Star Wars card game coming out.
Ooh.
Yeah, so it's
Okay.
I think it's coming out in March. It's called Star Wars Unlimited, and it's a card game. They've had card games in the past, but I was really big on a card game called Star Wars: The Card Game. It was kind of a theme-based card game. Then they came out with the one called Star Wars Destiny that involved dice, and I hate dice games. But then now this one's coming out. Apparently, they reworked a lot of stuff, and this is getting a lot of attention. It's built. I know it's not anywhere close to this, so people don't hit me for this, but it's kind of built on the Magic the Gathering structure, where
Okay.
it's custom decks, booster packs. So Corey, Master Koo, who's one of the contributors for the show here. We do Dark Knowledge together. He's really into card games too, so he's been talking to me about it. We've been talking about getting into it again and stuff like that. But anyway, in development, we may add a kind of Inside the Force gaming part to this and talk about
I
that
think
game.
that would be so
Game a
much
little
fun.
bit.
I mean, I already told you I'd love to do a Star Wars one-shot D&D
Oh,
game.
right.
So
Yes, that's right. Martin, you want to do that?
I played D&D my whole life. I just haven't had anyone to play with it lately. So,
Oh my God, Hannah plays every week.
oh my
I have
god.
all my dice here.
Oh my god. Wait, mine's on the other side of my office. Okay. I'll send you a couple pictures.
Yeah.
We're friends again.
She plays every week. Her and her husband play every week.
Oh my god.
Every
Kim.
Monday night we play.
We'll have to talk. But on the gaming story, as you were talking, you just made me think. I have Star Wars Trivial Pursuit that I've never been able to play with anybody.
Oh.
Have you guys ever played it?
Yes.
See, that's what I'm saying. So let's.
It is hard. Like there is questions
so
on there that
hard.
only you guys would have answers to. Like there's a question like in Empire Strikes Back, what was the stormtrooper's designation? The 8th row back, 7 from the left.
Yes.
How am I supposed to know that?
How am I supposed to know what plant was in the pot in the back corner of Palpatine's room? Like, how am I supposed to know that?
Yeah,
It's
that's
so
interesting.
hard.
There's some easy ones, and other ones I'm like,
But that's
Nope.
kind of what I was. That's kind of what I was talking about. Like we're thinking about Corey and I are thinking about doing some some gaming and
That'd be fun.
I also have Sabak.
I do have Sabak too.
I've never learned how to play it. That'd be
but
cool.
I haven't really
Oh.
played it yet. I need to learn how to play that.
It's
So,
fun. It's
yeah.
fun.
I want
Well-
to try. I got it.
Set it up when I'm coming down to see the Eagles versus Cincinnati
Oh, yeah,
Bengals.
Hannah.
Let's have a Star Wars hangout.
So
love
Hannah's got to go to that too. Then
Nice.
the Eagles come to the Bengals next year. They come to Cincinnati next year. So
I'm coming.
That's what I've heard.
I'll get us some tickets and we'll go.
Fly,
All right.
Eagles, fly.
All right, everybody hearing our banter. So anyway, in development, maybe maybe some gaming coming to this Inside the Force. So we watch us play some games here and there.
That'd be fun.
Thank you everybody for obviously the support and everything and hanging out with us. This was fun catching up and finally getting some good news. Martin, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, guys, and all your Inside the Force listeners. If any of you haven't come over to Mandalore to listen to David join me over there, come check us out because we get in some great long discussions on the Disney Plus shows. So
Highly
Yes.
recommend. Highly recommend you tune in.
Thank you.
thank you.
you.
They're long, though.
We will
Warning,
be
they're
back
long.
we'll be back on there as soon as another show comes. I'm sure
Mm-hmm.
we'll try to fill in some time in there with some other episodes, but
Yeah,
right now we just don't know when the next series is starting. So
no idea.
yeah, I'm
Watch in
assuming
about
it's gonna
3
be-
hours. They announce when it's going to come out.
Yeah, tomorrow it'll come
as soon
out.
as we're done recording, yeah.
Yeah, we'll. I'm assuming it's going to be the Bad Batch, so we'll pick up back up with the Bad Batch, which I'm gonna get back and rewatch because I haven't seen that in a long time. But Hannah, as always, thank you.
Thank you both very, very much.
Yeah, I will. I'm sure I'll talk to you tomorrow. Again, thanks everybody for being here, listening. It's 2024. Get out there. Hope everybody has a good year coming up and a good start to the year. And look for more from Inside the Force and the Mandalore podcast. Take care, everybody. May the Force be with you.